Welcome back to another video. As you can see, we're on Fanspo making our mock draft as the draft is about a week away. And with the season over, the Celtics winning, we're going to be making a mock draft. I'm not going to have any trades in this, but I will say, like, for some of the picks that I think could be traded and likely will be traded, I'll talk about it, but I'm not trying to make any trades in this one. Maybe in the next coming days, once we get closer to the draft, we could maybe try to experiment a little bit more with some mock drafts, make it a little more interesting, some trades, or just different ideas to do with the mock draft. But this one is just my actual full regular mock draft if there was no trades. So to start off, the first pick, the Atlanta Hawks. Alex Sarr to me is the best player in this draft. And I think he would go number one if there wasn't rumors. I've heard that Alex Sarr basically has just not cooperated with the Hawks, it sounds like, and they haven't been able to bring him in for a workout or anything. And it sounds like the Hawks would definitely want Alex Sarr because they said that they're still open to it, of him, coming and giving a workout or something. But it sounds like he doesn't really want to be there for I don't know what reason. Maybe I think it could be the fact that they have Onyeka Okongwu, and they have a lot of pieces on this team already, and maybe he wants to have a bigger role on a team, which at number 2 the Wizards would have. So for that reason, I think the number 1 pick is going to be Zachary Richaye, or Richaye. I think it's Richaye. I don't know. I'll learn it as we go along. But yeah, I think he's one of the guys that are one of the top players in the draft. It's a relatively weak draft class, but I think that's who the Hawks are going to want, especially if this Alex Sarr thing doesn't work out. But with that being said, don't have to really go too much over this pick, as the number 2 pick is going to be Alex Sarr. I think this is almost a guaranteed, a lock, that Alex Sarr will be a Wizard. So yeah, I think it's a good fit. The Wizards trading, Daniel Gafford, they don't really have too many bigs. And I think it's a good fit. He has a bigger role on that team, and I think it's definitely something that makes sense for both sides, for Alex Sarr and for the Wizards. Number 3, we have the Rockets, and this is one of the top picks. I think definitely could be traded, and I think there's a pretty good chance it will be traded when it comes up to the draft. The Rockets had a really good season last year, and now they could possibly, maybe trade it to try to take that next jump with their roster. But I obviously, since we're not having any, since we're not having any trades involved, I think Reed Shepherd's going to be the guy that would go here if they were to not do any trades. I do kind of like the fit, aside from the fact that they have so many guards, but I think he adds a lot of, kind of like, if you see him play, he does have that dog in him. He does kind of play a lot more aggressive. He's a good defender, good kind of spark player that you can maybe add off the bench for his rookie year. And so I do really like that. Number 4, we have the San Antonio Spurs, and I'm going to go Stephon Castle here. There's been a lot of rumors that Stephon Castle wants to go to a team where he will be a franchise point guard, or more of a not really sharing a backcourt with a lot of other players. And I think his best opportunity of that is either Washington or San Antonio. And I think San Antonio fits really well. Good at defense on a team that's been really bad at defense last year, aside from Wemby. And now you get to put him in a pick and roll with Wemby. I think he's a really good addition to the team. Number 5, we have the Detroit Pistons. And with number 5, I'm actually going to go with going down here to Cody Williams. Cody Williams, I think, had a really, really good year for Colorado. And I do kind of like the pairing. A lot of these other players in the draft, I feel like they're a lot more high potential picks. And I think that's what the problem with Detroit is. They've been going for a lot of those and missing. And I feel like they need to add a guy that I think will be a really, really solid role player that could provide defense. If he could add some more strength to his frame, he is a little, slim. But he kind of reminds me of someone like a Jaden McDaniels. And if you could add him to a team that's been really bad, I think players like that could be really good role players are sometimes might not be the sexiest pick, but it definitely makes, I think, a lot more sense in terms of trying to build a team. So I do like Cody Williams going to the Detroit Pistons. With the number 6 pick, we have the Charlotte Hornets, and I'm gonna go Donovan Clingan here. As I think Clingan going to this team, who it showed their center need is severe. I mean, they have, Nick Richards and Mark Williams, but I think Donovan Clingan adds a real good defender that you could add there. Um, they have a decent amount of pieces they're trying to start putting together, but it hasn't really worked out too well. And I feel like, now that they get Donovan Clingan, you kind of lock down that center position. And I think he's one of the best available guys, especially at number 6. So I think it's a really good pick for them. Number 7, we have the Portland Trail Blazers. And with number 7, I do want to see what I would do. Because this is not like I'm not just like, pre-made this out. This is kind of like a live mock draft. And actually, I do like Buzelis. I do like Buzelis over here to the Trailblazers. I feel like, Buzelis is more of a raw prospect that could maybe take a little bit more time. And I feel like him going to a team like the Trailblazers could be pretty nice, as, they're kind of starting off the rebuild. They could even open some more minutes at the wing position if they do end up moving on from Jeremy Grant. And I think it's a good pick to add him to the team. And he could provide, I think, a lot of, just overall good potential that you could have if he plays a good amount of minutes on that team without high expectations. I think could help him out with, hitting that potential. Next is the San Antonio Spurs with the 8th pick. So they already got Stephon Castle here at number 4. I would like to see them actually get someone like Ron Holland right here. So we're going to go Ron Holland. Ron Holland, I think, another guy that adds a lot of defense. I think it's another guy that, you add to a team, coached by Popovich. I think he's a really good fit. Another really young guy in the draft that I think would make a lot of sense on this team. As, good defender on a team that's bad defense. It's kind of just seems like an instantly good pairing. At number 9 here, I'm going to go with Devin Carter. I really like a lot of these older players in the draft mock to teams that are looking to compete. And with the Grizzlies, it's another team that I think there's a chance that they move on from this pick. But if they do keep it here, I would like to see them go out and get someone maybe like a Devin Carter, as this is a guy that probably one of the best perimeter defenders in the draft. And you get to add him to a team that, he can come off the bench possibly and provide you really good backup point guard minutes, depending on what they do with Marcus Smart. Either play him as shooting guard. I have heard things about maybe they move him in the draft, actually. So I don't know, but I think Devin Carter would be a really nice, addition. A lot of these, more developed older guys I do like to go to teams that, are looking to compete. And the Grizzlies, obviously, this year was kind of a wash for them. But next year, I think they're still going to be looking to go back into competing. And I think adding Devin Carter would help that out a lot with, obviously, his defense. Just all overall, I think he's one of the most NBA-ready prospects in the draft. And so, yeah. At number 10, we have the Utah Jazz. I'm going to go with Dalton Knecht. I mean, he's another one of the older guys. I did really like this if he were to go to someone like the Thunder. I think it would be a really, really nice fit of him to the Thunder. Another team that's competing with another one of these older guys. But I think for what's available in this draft, it makes a lot of sense for him to go right here. I don't think they're looking to add another guard, which I think is really top-heavy with guards remaining in this draft at this point by their pick. And I think Dalton Knecht's a really good guy you could add. You don't really have too many wings. I think he provides, overall pretty decent pick. And so, yeah, number 11, we have the Chicago Bulls. And I'm going to have them getting Rob Dillingham. I would love this pairing, as anyone who knows, I'm from Chicago. The Bulls are essentially my second favorite team. And I think adding, another guard, it is a little bit weird. But, Zach LaVine likely will be gone. I don't know what's going to happen with Lonzo. But if you have a backcourt of, Kobe White and Rob Dillingham. I think that's a really, really fun backcourt to watch. Maybe not the best defensively in overall size, as they're not the biggest, but I think it's overall a really fun backcourt to watch. And so I think Rob Dillingham going to the Bulls would be really, really cool, as I think also at this point in the draft, as one of the guys I think with the higher potentials in this draft. I think it's a really good pick here at number 11 for the Bulls, as I think they definitely need to start getting some good draft picks if they want to turn this thing around for them. With the 12th pick, I'm going to have them getting Tajon Salon. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that right, Salon. Tajon Salon. This is another guy that he's from France, and I think for a team like the Thunder, where they have all these draft picks and so many spots already filled on this roster, unless they're making or drafting a guy, kind of like a Dalton Knecht, like I said, or someone who could provide instant impact with experience in one of the older guys. Instead, I would like to also see them going to get one of these younger guys in the draft who have a lot of upside and high potential. Where with him, Salon, you could stick this guy in the G League maybe for the first year and see him develop, and this guy can maybe turn out to be something a few years down the road, but you're not really expecting too much out of him, the first few years. So I do really like one of these project players going to the Thunder as someone that you don't really need to look for minutes out of at the start, and a few years down the road he could be something for you. Number 13 here, I'm gonna have the Sacramento Kings, and I'm gonna go Nikola Topic. They have him at number 4 on Fanspo for draft rank. Obviously, I don't think it's his talent that's really making him drop. I think it's more so that he has had a lot of injury concerns with the ACL thing that's going on. And I think that is a big reason why he could fall in this draft, as I have seen, he was someone that was kind of mocked a lot to the Spurs. But yeah, number 13 here, going to the Sacramento Kings, who likely, I think, move on from Davion Mitchell. It's a really good guy that you could add to your backcourt, especially with Malik Monk possibly. We don't know what's going to happen with Malik Monk. He could be on the move. And I think it's a good addition to kind of be proactive about adding to your backcourt if Malik Monk is moved, or Davion Mitchell ends up being traded. And so I think at this pick, in this draft class, at number 13, to get someone who I think has one of the highest, overall talents in the draft, is just, more so the injury problems. I think that's another guy that's really good at that pick. And then at number 14, they have the Portland Trailblazers. And for the Trailblazers at number 14, who would I want to give them? We already have them getting Buzelis here. I would not mind to see someone like a... we can go with someone like a... honestly, we're going to do it. I did like this guy, going to somewhere like the Lakers, which I think once we got to Lakers is probably going to be my pick. But that's what happens in the draft. Sometimes your pick gets stolen. So, Khalil Ware, I like him actually going here to the Trailblazers. A really, really good year, his sophomore year at Indiana. And he's kind of a guy that I think if you add him to this Trailblazers team, where I don't know what's going to go on with Robert Williams. DeAndre Ayton played a lot better the second half of the season, but overall, he didn't look insane, and he definitely looks like someone where it's not like, this is a position that's going to stay on this team. Like, we're not looking to, upgrade at all. I do really like him going to the Trailblazers. Another guy that I think could take a little bit more development, but I think overall it makes a lot of sense. So the next pick, we're going to have a guy that has been rising a lot. If you saw my past thing, I said a lot of these small white point guards, they either turn out like TJ McConnell or Ryan Arcidiacono. But I'm going to have him going to the Heat. This is a really, really Heat type of pick. One of the older guys that they draft, they always seem to find a way to draft a lot of these older guys, it feels, and they always make an instant impact and be really good. So I think Tyler Kolek here going to the Heat at 15, obviously maybe a little bit more of a reach. Um, but I think you can't question the Heat's, decisions in the draft, as it seems like it always works. And he's one of those, small point guards that, I think he still has obviously a lot of impact that he could provide, especially on a team like the Heat where they're looking to compete, I think, still, unless I don't know what's going to go on with the Jimmy Butler situation. I've heard, some things about is he going to get traded? Is he not? I don't know. But I expect him to still want to compete, and I think Tyler Kolek's a guy that you could definitely add to, your team where definitely an instant impact off the bench at least. And, I mean, if you look at this team's kind of depth at point guard, it's not too great. So I think Tyler Kolek's a really good addition. At number 16 here, 76ers, kind of going to stick with the old guys going to these teams that, I think make an instant impact and it makes sense. Tristan da Silva, I think this guy fits really well with the 76ers as a guy that, I mean, if you've seen Tristan da Silva, he's kind of, it seems like more of a, he seems like a role player. That's what they need, an above average role player. He could hit his shots from the corner or something. You'll sit in the corner. And especially with Tobias Harris likely not returning to this team, I think this is a really good addition. I still, in the coming days, I'm probably going to be having a, free agency prediction. And I think they're going to get Paul George. But, I think this is definitely a guy you could add that comes off the bench. He provides, his role, hitting his shots, playing some defense, and I think that's all they really need. I like the pick for them, especially, one of these older guys going to competing teams. With the next pick, we have the Lakers, and I'm going to go out and get them a center. Yves Missy, I think it is. I think it's Yves. That's how you pronounce it. I do really like the idea of the Lakers getting a center. They drafted a point guard last year in Jalen Hood-Schifino, so I don't think they go out and look to get another guard. I think someone like Yves Missy is someone that could definitely, if you add him to this team, center was one of their bigger problems. Rebounding was one of the biggest problems for the Lakers, aside from obviously Anthony Davis. But I think they definitely would like to see Anthony Davis maybe move back to a power forward and get a center, or if not, a center off the bench at least. With, Christian Wood didn't really work out too crazy. Jackson Hayes wasn't that bad, but I think them adding a center would definitely make a lot of sense. So I do like that pick. With the next pick, we have the Orlando Magic. And right here, I'm going to have them getting Jacoby Walter. It's something that I feel like a lot of people have been talking about, is them getting another guard. I don't know how much I like them getting another guard in the draft, aside from like a trade or free agency, as I think adding the experience would definitely help a lot. But I think in terms of drafting a guard that makes, the best potential fit out of all these guards, I think it's Jacoby Walter. I think he also has a lot of upside. And I think that, adding him to this team makes a lot of sense for them. They need some guards. Number 19, we have the Toronto Raptors. And I'm going to have the Raptors go out and get... I would actually like to see, Jared McCain maybe. Yeah, am I going to go with Jared McCain here? I think I am. I'm going to go Jared McCain. So, yeah, Jared McCain to the Raptors at number 19. Someone that I think considered a lot in terms of either him or Jacoby Walter at 18. And so that's why I have him at 19. I just like kind of the fit more than Isaiah Collier. I think, Isaiah Collier is one of my favorite in the draft. Same with, Bub Carrington here. He's probably my favorite player in the draft. But I think Jared McCain, it makes a lot of sense for them, to go out and get someone like another guard to maybe pair with, Emmanuel Quickley in the backcourt, especially while they're trying to figure out this rebuild that they're in. Now with the Cleveland Cavaliers, I do want to see them get a guard most likely here. And I'm not too sure which one. Bub Carrington is my favorite, but I do really like him with the Pelicans, and that's what's making me lean towards not giving him right here to them. So we're gonna go Isaiah Collier. I feel like Isaiah Collier is a guy that has really, really high potential in this draft. He kind of plays almost like obviously, I'm not saying he's Russell Westbrook or something like that, but he kind of plays like Russell Westbrook in terms of his biggest problem is turning over the ball off of, playing super, super fast. And he's explosive. Like, this guy reminds you he's a tank. I mean, look at his build, too. Like, this guy is a tank. 6'2", 205. He will absolutely punish you at the rim. Isaiah Collier is one of my favorite in the draft. I do like him going to the Cavs, a team that, everyone already kind of knows about the whole Darius Garland situation. Do I know if they're going to trade him or not? I don't know. I mean, does it make too much sense? Also, I don't know because he is relatively young. So, I don't know. But either way, I think adding him could definitely be good to, at least come off the bench. They had Craig Porter kind of come off the bench as their backup this year. He actually was pretty good, but I think, adding Isaiah Collier definitely adds the potential factor with it that you really like. And I think I just like the way he plays a lot, so that's why I have him going to the Cavs. And then this is my favorite guy in the draft. We're going to get Bub Carrington, Carlton Carrington, going to the Pelicans with the 21st pick. Really, really like Bub Carrington's game. Adding him to that team also seems like a perfect fit to me. Bub Carrington's a guy that he makes the right decision. He's a really good shooter, really good pull-up mid-range shooter. Good pick-and-roll guy. I think his IQ is a lot better than a lot of, guards in this draft. And I think it's one of the more underrated things about him. But, yeah, like, him to the Pelicans makes a lot of sense. They need some guards. And I think Bub Carrington at 21 is going to be a steal in this draft. Or wherever he goes in general. I think he's going to be a steal in the draft. Especially if he goes after 15, which I think likely will happen, is that he doesn't go in the lottery. But I think he's a really big steal in this draft. Next, we have the Phoenix Suns with 22. And I do like them getting Kyle Filipowski. I think he's a guy that maybe could add some size to this team that I think really, really needs it. I also just think he is one of the more NBA kind of ready guys-ish. I don't know. I mean, he went back to college, was a potential lottery pick his freshman year, went back to college, didn't really see too much progress. And that's why you see him kind of falling in this draft class. But I think he's a guy that you definitely, I think I really, really like him going to the Suns. This is like their last first-round pick for the next, 5 years. And I think Kyle Filipowski is a guy that you really like at this pick. Next up, we have the Milwaukee Bucks here. And, I really do not know what I'm going to do with this pick. Let's take a look. I do really like the idea of Terrence Shannon. Terrence Shannon may be a little bit biased because, I do like Illinois. But I think Terrence Shannon's another really, really good guy in this draft class. So, I don't know. I think I'm going to go with, I think it's between Bobby Klintman or Terrence Shannon. I'm going to go Terrence Shannon. Terrence Shannon to the Bucks at 23. I do really like the fit. You're keeping a guy relatively close to where he's from. He's from Chicago, staying in Milwaukee. And I think this guy provides a lot of defense for you. And, again, like I was saying earlier on, I do really like these older guys in the draft going to competing teams. So Terrence Shannon, I feel like this guy, another guy that I think will be a steal in this draft class. Either late first-round pick likely or a second-round pick. And I think he provides you a lot of defense. I think he was one of the best players, if not the best player in college basketball. Obviously, we know Zach Edey. But he was definitely amazing, especially in that March Madness tournament. Terrence Shannon, I definitely do like going to the Bucks. I think he definitely provides someone that you could instantly add to your rotation, especially if they don't bring back, someone like Pat Bev. I do really like his instant impact on defense. Um, Now we have the New York Knicks who have back-to-back picks here. Another team where I think likely could maybe trade, if not both, one of these picks when it comes towards the draft. But I do like if they were to get someone like Ryan Dunn. Ryan Dunn to the New York Knicks sounds so like Ryan Dunn's a Tom Thibodeau type of guy. Like it just seems like a perfect fit to play. Him with Tom Thibodeau as his coach. So Ryan Dunn, one of the best defenders, if not the best defender in college basketball last year, and I think adding him to this team, especially with the potential of them losing OG Anunoby in free agency, I think Ryan Dunn's definitely a guy you could see that could maybe even actually play a pretty good amount of minutes if he earns the trust of Tom Thibodeau. He could play some pretty good amount of minutes in his rookie year. But yeah, so I definitely do like Ryan Dunn here to the Knicks. And with their second pick that they have, I would like to see them maybe get someone like, who do I want them getting here? I do like Johnny Furphy. Yeah, we're going to go get Johnny Furphy. Johnny Furphy, I think, is also a really nice a player in this draft, as he kind of is one of the more higher rising guys. Kind of popped out of nowhere. Pretty sure he's from Australia. Really good year as a freshman, and for that reason, he kind of thought about maybe going back to college or not. He didn't really know. So one of the guys that possibly could have withdrawn from the draft, but he was really, really good. And I think this is a guy that you could definitely really like to see on this New York Knicks team. Also, kind of like Ryan Dunn. I think that with his shooting ability, you could definitely see him actually have a pretty good instant impact on the team. Next up, we have the Wizards. And I'm going to have them getting Kaishan George here. I think this is a really nice fit. A team that doesn't, have too many guards. They get Alex Sarr in this draft, and now they get Kaishan George here. Another guard that I think has a lot of upside and good potential, especially for his size, 6'7" as a shooting guard is really nice to see. And I think this is a guy that, playing on a team where they don't really have too many guards, I do really like seeing him go to a team where he gets the opportunity. And that's what I like to see for a lot of the young guards. So I really like that pick to the Wizards. At 27 here with the Timberwolves. Now, I don't know. I mean, I could see them going a few different ways with this. Either trying to get an instant impact guy or trying to go out and get someone that could be just kind of a developmental guy. Because we still have Tyler Smith here. And I'm not going to lie, Tyler Smith here at this point, I think could definitely be someone that we see fall. But I do really, really like him as a prospect. And I do think that it sucks that we see him falling. But it's based off fit to certain teams. But with the Timberwolves here, I mean, I could see them going a few different ways. We're going to have them get... I actually do like Bobby Klintman to them. Bobby Klintman, we're going to have go to them, as this guy is from Sweden. And I do actually really like this fit going to the Timberwolves. Somebody that I think, or Bobby, I said Bobby Klintman. I do like Bobby Klintman to the Timberwolves, as I think he does provide kind of a relatively instant impact, at least for his role that he'll have if he does actually end up getting minutes his rookie year. I think he still has a lot of upside on this team. A team that's really good at defense, adding another guy that I think is pretty good at defense. And offensively, I think he can provide some good offense. Number 28, we have the Denver Nuggets. And I do like Baylor Shireman to them. I feel like this guy, really good year, Creighton. Big reason for why Creighton was actually really good this year. And I think he just seems like a Nuggets player. So it makes a lot of sense, I think. adding him to the team. And I think they're looking for instant impact guys. I think he's one of the best available instant impact guys here, especially for their, overall need. At 29 with the Jazz, I'm going to get Tyler Smith here. I think it's just the potential wise. With the Jazz, I think they're going to be trying to look for guys that, could provide some instant impact. I do really like Tyler Smith end up, going to them. Or not instant impact, but, long-term development. And I think Tyler Smith's one of the best potential guys available, especially at this point. And so for that reason, I think it's a really good pick for the Jazz. And so now I know a lot of people are going to hate me for this, but Zach Edey will not be a first rounder in this mock draft. I'm not too big on Zach Edey, honestly. Yeah, he was really good in college, but, he's 7'3", 299. I don't know how he's going to translate in the NBA. And there's obviously, it's not me saying, I don't want him to succeed, and I don't think he will. I just think for a lot of these other teams, it doesn't make sense to get Zach Edey, really. I don't know. Maybe there's a few positions where I could have took him there, but instead we're going to get DaRon Holmes here. DaRon Holmes, I think, to the Celtics would be an insane fit. As this is a guy that, you have really big needs at your power forward and center still, even though you just won the championship. With Al Horford being relatively old. He will be back next year, he said. But he could be retiring in a few years. And then you have Kristaps, who is a guy that, injuries do happen quite a bit for him. So you definitely could like to have some more depth at, your power forward and center position. And I just think overall DaRon Holmes is a really, really nice player. And it makes a lot of sense for him to go to a team like the Celtics. And so that's the mock draft here, with 1 through 30. We're not going through the second round. But in the second round, I do think that at least Bronny is going to go to Lakers. That's all I really got for the second round. Zach Edey, I don't know where he's going to go. Could be a first rounder, honestly. And maybe some people don't really like it. But I don't know. I just don't really think it makes too much sense for a lot of these teams. The only position I could see it maybe happening is the Raptors here at 19. I did really like it at number 26 if they didn't take Alex Sarr, but now that they have Alex Sarr in the draft, it makes not too much sense. If they didn't get him, I think it would have made a lot more sense. But yeah, so this is my, kind of first really, mock draft. No trades involved, just regular mock draft if there was no trades. So y'all let me know how you feel about these picks. And I wonder how it's actually going to do when it comes up to the, the draft, at least for the ones that aren't traded. Obviously there's going to be trades. I'm not going to hit every one of these picks. But this is overall, I think, a really, for a quickly drawn up mock draft that, I still obviously scout a lot of these players, but I didn't pre-make this mock draft. It was kind of on the spot. But yeah, so y'all let me know how you feel about these picks in the draft and what you think is your favorite players in the draft, your favorite fits in the draft for certain teams, and all that. And I'll see you on the next one, and thanks for watching.